we get this hash name error when we misspell the function name, or we don't give the proper
Spelling.
arguments. Yeah, if they have asked to give two only the spelling. uh, if only the spelling of the function is different, or there is any properly, it is not spelled properly, then
Yeah.
we will get this found name.
Hashtag name error.
Yes, correct. So next is the value. That's the name is the very common error which we get. uh, so let us discuss the value. So another most common error type is value error, is when you're trying to multiply text with values. Like so if you're trying to perform some sort of arithmetic operation on text strings or cells that are formatted as text, this is where you will most likely run across this error. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So to produce a value error, let's say, let me open this. Okay. So let's say right here in D8 cell, we added a new function, and we consider and we try to multiply a value like 1,000 here in D for by text string like a set A, like just thinking. So let me D4. Okay, D4 into, so I will try to multiply the D4 value, that is $1,000, with the B4 value asset A. So let me do that. 4. So if I hit enter now, so this is like completely, there is no that is really no rational reasonable result that can come out of this. So it will give the value error. So if you are trying to do the things which doesn't have the reasonable result, which is not a rational one, that can come out of this. So you are getting the value error when you're trying to multiply the $1,000 with the asset A, when you're trying to multiply the numerical value with the text value.
With the
So yes,
okay.
there is no real way to multiply text and the numbers, and Excel is equally confused here. So that's why you see the value error returned. And obviously this is a very kind of clear cut case. So you are multiplying 1,000 by asset A, but other times it is not going to be so crystal clear. You may have values that are kind of disguised as text, or text that's disguised as values. So see here, that 1,000 and asset A are like they are numericals and the string value, but some characters will be there which you cannot you yourself will not be able to confirm that it is a numerical or the string. Like I'll
Okay.
uh, let you know what is that. So,
Okay.
phone numbers and zip codes are great examples of this, where it might not be quite so clear. It might be a
Okay.
little bit trickier to diagnose these value issues. So, keep that in mind. But that is the value error in a nutshell. So, all right. So, we'll see that. When we go on, when we proceed to our course, we often see this value error. So, as of now, I'm not showing that example. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next one is the fourth error type that I want to talk about is div 0. This one speaks for itself. It means that you are dividing by 0 or an empty cell. So just check your
Okay.
division, check your denominator, One thing to note here is that sometimes it's okay to have 0 as a denominator, doesn't necessarily mean you have done anything wrong. And in those
Okay.
cases, you can use things like if statements or if error formulas to kind of mask that error. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And display an alternate value if you choose. So it's a common tool when you're trying to build polished user facing reports and dashboards.
Okay.
And I think that one is straightforward enough that we don't need to do a hands-on example. Like if you try to, like, let me show that if you want. Okay, let me equal E E4. E4 is $1,080 divided by 0. You are getting div 0. Okay. So the next value, I mean, next error type is, let's move right on to the next one, which is the ref error. And that means that your formula is referring to a cell that's no longer valid.
Okay.
Common causes when you reference a cell or range and then accidentally move, delete, or replace that range that you have previously referred. So this is actually a pretty common one. So let's jump back into our Excel workbook and I will show you a common cause for why this might happen.
Yeah,
So
because we write the formulas incorrectly.
yes,
Because I have
yes,
also practiced, so I know this.
okay. All right, back in our reference type tab. So remember that all of these values, like these were the projections were based on the growth rates in column C. So yesterday we had discussed these values. Uh,
Yes.
so what if we accidentally deleted that column? Like let me delete this C column.
Okay.
Let me delete this C column. See, you are getting that referrer. Why? Because it is referring to the C4, which is already I have deleted.
Deleted. Okay.
Yeah. So it is giving me the ref error.
Ref.
Yes. Once we get back the C column, you can see that error has been gone. This is because the Excel is trying to evaluate the function. It will evaluate the function and it will search for C5 and it says and it thinks that oh C is not here. I mean C column is not here, so they cannot produce any result and it will give the ref error. Okay, because it no longer exists. So the next one is NA. Uh, so this is a little bit different from the referrer where we are unable to find an existing cell. In this case, it's usually caused by searching for some sort of a match that can't be found. Okay, so this is really
Okay.
common with the lookup and reference functions, things like index match, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP. So in these types, we get this error. These are the cases where you are most likely to run into an NA error. So we'll see that. So let's jump back into Excel one more time and I will show you an example of that. Um, so back in Excel, let's jump into a formula and V8. Remember we wrote that match function to
Yes.
search for us a set A within the cell range here. So let's go ahead and edit that formula. So what I will do, I will write that function again, match, and I want to find the lookup values a set A, and the lookup array is what is the cell name, that is B4. And from B4, I want to go through B6 because till B6 it has some string values. So from B4 throughout B6, and then I want to search it only once. So I just want a true or false value. So I will go with 0. Then, oh my god, what happened? Match asset A and then B4 to B6 and then 0. Really? Oh, sorry. This I have to see. Now, if there is any mistake in the function, it will give me this because I haven't given this in the double inverted comma. So it is giving me name error. Okay. See, now we can
Okay.
see it has found out the set A. So I'm getting. So now, so instead of what? Instead of searching as asset A, let's find for asset DX. Okay, which doesn't exist. So you can see the NA error. If the value which it returns, it doesn't exist in the Excel value, then it will give the NA error. So this is what the
Okay.
okay the common Excel error has. So let's move on to the next topic. That is yeah, auditing tools. So we talked about some common Excel error messages and some pretty rudimentary tools to diagnose and solve them. But until now, our options were pretty limited. That's where auditing tools come into play. Now I have found that a lot of Excel users here, every even very advanced users are not familiar with all of this, so auditing tools. So and once you learn what they can do, you will see how incredibly powerful they are to help you trace the source of your errors, break down your calculation steps, and really pinpoint exactly where things might be going wrong. So let's start by talking about a few of these auditing tools, starting with trace precedents. You can see the first box here, that the trace precedence. Now what trace precedence does is it identifies any cells which affect the value of the one you have selected. So so stop and think about for a minute, like what that really means. In this case we have selected the monthly expenses cell here. So it identifies this, I mean it identifies cells with effect which affect the value of the one selected. So in this case, this box, we have selected the monthly expenses cell here, which is a formula, and we have used trace precedence to highlight any other cells in that worksheet that could possibly affect the value or the result of that cell. So you will get to know when you see an example. So you
Okay.
might be a bit confused that you're not
Yeah,
uh,
I am
understanding.
confused.
Yeah, so when we do an example for each and every auditing tools, you will get to know what they are. So what this tells us that here is that if we were to change the value of the mortgage cost cell, see, this is the mortgage
Yeah.
cost cell. If we were to
Right.
change the value, the property tax cell, utilities, or insurance, the value in our monthly expenses cells which we have selected would change. So if you want, you can mute yourself. Okay, you may not respond like yeah, no problem for me because there is some background noise. See, if we click on the mortgage cost, so if we change the mortgage cost, then the monthly expenses also will change. If you change any property tax, any utilities, insurance, then the monthly expenses also will change. So for me to wrap my, like, I like to think about it as a kind of like identifying the upstream cells, right? So the ones that would potentially impact the current value if they were to change. So now we can look at things from other direction as well with trace dependence, and that identifies what, and that identifies cells which are affected by the value of the one you have selected. So in other words, this is where you might select an upstream cell like the down payment amount, for instance, and use trace dependence to see which other cells are affected by that value. This trace precedence is from which values this particular the selected value is changed, and this trace dependence is that by this value what are all the other values are changed. This is how you will find out. So identify cells which are affected by the value of the one selected. So in this case and the example we will walk through, if we were to change the down payment amount, the we would see the value in the cash to close cell and the loan amount cell change accordingly. So if we change the down payment, then the loan amount, loan cost, and the cash to close also will change. So from this value others will get changed, but here for this value due to others this will change. This is what's the difference between trace precedence and the trace dependence. So in this case we are looking at an upstream cell and understanding which downstream cells are impacted. And the third one we will talk about here is the show formula options. So what does that mean? um, this one is pretty straightforward but very useful. It temporarily displays all of the formulas in the worksheet as if they were text strings. So it's pretty common to inherit an Excel workbook that might have a mix of hard coded values and formulas, and it can be a little bit difficult to diagnose or understand which the show formula option. So you may need not worry if you have not understand anything. We will see when we talk about the examples. So this can really help you to do that quickly. And a little extra tip here, like if you want to actually select all of those cells containing formulas, you can use the go to special option using the control G shortcut, and I will show you that in just a second. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into our Excel workbook and practice using these three auditing tools. So i'm I am into my Excel workbook. So, and this is my auditing tool sheet. So, all right, excellent. So, if you would like to follow along, like make sure, okay. So, I am now in the third tab, the auditing tool tab. So, and what you will see here is a property calculator. This is a property calculator auditing tool. Sorry, it is just a property calculator example. And these are all real formulas. They are accurate numbers, like So they are accurate numbers. You can see I actually have used this tool myself to evaluate properties, and basically the idea is that you can track some property details, like here, like you can see here, the property details, like the zip code, the address, the mlrs numbers, as well as some values that contribute to the cash flows. So this is the values that will contribute to the cash flows. So I'm just explaining what this sheet is, which is the amount of money you need to close on the property and the monthly expenses given certain inputs, like a down payment, we have an interest rate, and so on. So now don't worry about this specifics here. The idea is that we have got a combination of hard coded values like the purchase price and the tax rate, and for formulas like loan amount, closing cost. So see, here you can see, so cash to close, here we have the hard coded value also, the h3 h7. You can see those cells only will try will we will take to calculate this this thing, what to say, to calculate this cash to close price. But monthly expenses, you can see it is not hard coded one. You can see we have fixed the dollar for H, and for the column and the row. Sorry, this is the hard coded where we have locked the values, but cash to close is the it is not hard coded, it will change. So if we find the dollar symbol in the formula, it is the hard coded, it is fixed, we cannot change it. So we, without having to actually click on or navigate through cell by cell to understand what's a value and what is the formula, this is a great opportunity to use some of our formula auditing tools. Our main intention is to use the formula auditing tools. So we are going to, and right here is our formula auditing group. So here we should be having formula auditing group. Mhm. Formulas. Yeah, here we have the formula auditing groups. You can see trace, precedents, trace, dependence, and show formulas and all we have. So we will check each and everything now. So if we click that, if I click that, see, if I click on 9.5 and if I give the show for formulas, so you can see, yeah, let me scroll. So you can see what is the formula used for to calculate the tax rate. So it will stretch everything out, which is kind of crazy. So, but you see how it basically just treated any formula cell as if it were a text string. So you are getting, so if you want to know the purchase price, and if you click on show formula, here we don't have any formula, we have not used it. I'm sorry. You can see this has like a h3, this is h3, and h7 is this one, down payment, plus h11.
11. That is the loan
Yes,
amount.
yes. See, all of the values kind of remain as standard values. So this is a good way to just quickly see which cells or formulas, and all you need to do is toggle that. back off and you're back to where you like. If you just click on this, it will take you back. So what I'll do, so if I click on this, now again that control G, that go to special shortcut, really great tip. Like so if you press control G, let me click on this. You're going to press control G, it is going to open up the go to menu. Click the special button. Uh, we have go to here, and we don't have a special button here. Okay, the special is itself is like they have not explicitly mentioned it as special. These are only the special tab. So we have notes. Sorry, we have constants. Uh, okay, instead of notes, we have data here, and in the notes we have constants and the formula. So we'll select the formula. So in the formula we have numbers, text, logicals, and errors, and we're going to leave all of this checked. So we will just keep it as it is. So we'll say go to. So and when it does that, you see how it's selected these cells. You can see these cells are selected now. Before it was not selected. See, it was like this. If you give control G, and if you go to, if you click on go to tab, and in the data, if you select the formulas, and if you select all this, then you can see the tabs are the
Okay.
few of the tabs are selected.
Highlighted, we can say.
uh, you see how it selected these six cells. These are the six
Okay.
cells in the sheet. One, two, three, four, five, six. These are the six cells in the sheet that contain formulas. So really
Okay.
helpful options. So if you find there is something a mismatch in the total, or there is something you see that
So
the
I can
sum is not,
specifically look into the
yes.
only formula part, so it would
Ah,
be more
yes.
efficient.
You can see where the exactly formulas are used. Okay, and you
Okay.
can change it accordingly. So they are a kind of hidden menu that you normally wouldn't necessarily come across. So that's the show formula option. Like why like this is the this thing. This is the shortcut method. If you go to control G, this is the shortcut method of the show formula tab, which you did from here. You can also do from the control G option also. So let's go ahead and talk about trace precedence now. So let us see what is trace precedence. So again, we want a formula that's kind of a downstream formula that references some other cells, some upstream cells or inputs. So cache to close is a good example for that. If we go back to our auditing tools and click trace precedents, so if we click on trace precedent, so first let us select cache to close, and if I click on trace precedents, so you can see it is showing some arrows to few of the cells. So see what just draws these arrows. So if it says, yep, there are three precedent cells that we found: purchase price, down payment, and the closing cost. And that tells me that if any of these three values were to change, I know that my cash to close would be impacted as
Would
well.
be
And a little
okay.
shortcut here. Okay, you understood what is trace?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
You can see the direction of arrow also. These three values will comprise, I mean, will join together and form cash to close. There you can see it is going this way. So this is
Yes, so
trace.
any of the purchase price or down payment or estimated closing cost, whatever the
Mm,
numbers, if these numbers got to be changed, so
mm,
automatically the cash to close would also change the
change,
value,
yes,
right?
yes, this is
Yeah.
trace
Okay.
precedence. So if you wanted to actually select those upstream cells, you could use control left square bracket, and it will select those three precedent cells. Like if you press control and select the left square bracket, so you can see this is a shortcut for a trace precedence. If you give control and the left square bracket, even then it will select the cells which are comprising the cash to close value. Okay. So let's do the same with the monthly expenses. So we can keep those arrows in place and trace precedence for our monthly expense formula.
Expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you click on trace precedence, so you can see these values gets added and they will form the monthly expenses one.
Okay.
Okay.
It will automatically show the arrow to the monthly expenses.
Yes. And just like before, we can control left bracket to select those. Like if you want to if you want a shortcut, then you can do control left bracket. Even then it will select those brackets, I mean those values. It will show in any cells that are precedence to the ones that I had just selected. So it's almost tracing its way further and further upstream and selecting those cells along the way, which can be a really helpful option. So let's say we are good with our precedents. We can select, and now we want to get rid of these arrows. So they are setting here. All we need to do is click the remove arrow button. So it will remove
Okay.
those arrows.
Okay.
And we are back to where we started. So now let's take a look at trace d- dependence in this case. Now we don't really want to select a downstream formula like a cache to close. So
We
in
can go
fact, if
from
you,
cash to close to other way, like to the left.
yes, yes, yeah. If
Okay.
we try to trace the dependence, it says. So if you click on cache to close and if you click on trace dependence, it says the trace dependence command for no formulas that retrieve to the active cell, because this is not a trace uh, dependent value. This is a trace precedent value. So it is giving
Okay.
that error. So in other words, the value here doesn't affect the values anywhere else in this worksheet. So in any other value is not impacted by the cache to close value. But if we select one of our upstream values, one of our inputs like down payment percentage, now if we like now if I click on down payment percentage and click on trace dependence, then we can see that if you were to change the down payment to other cells in the worksheet, would be affected. The cash to close formula which we just saw, and this loan amount formula here as well. So now before I do select, what's really interesting is that I could actually press the trace dependence button again, and it's going to continue down its path. So if I see, so it will tell that the down payment affects these many values. It will affect the cash to close, it will affect the loan amount, it will affect the,
The mortgage cost. Okay.
yes, mortgage cost. If you go on clicking the trace dependence, it will trace all the dependent value of this down payment. Even monthly
Okay.
expense is also uh, dependent of this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So precedence is where we have the total. Okay. See, if
Okay.
we, I will say remove arrows. If I click on this, this is the cash to close, which we will get to form with some other values. If you click on the trace precedence for this, it will tell that these many values are affected by this. So if I click on the individual value down payment and I click on down trace dependence, it will tell me what are the dependent values of this value. So are you clear with this? Even the mortgage cost depends on down payment. Even the
Down
monthly
payment.
depend on
Yes,
down
I.
payment.
Yes, I understand.
So if you feel that monthly expense you are getting is wrong, at that time you can see what are the values are what are the values comprises of this value. So if you just give trace precedence, it will show, and you can change them, yeah, accordingly.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So this is what auditing tools. So the next topic is, it is like formula auditing, like how to evaluate formula and how to check the errors. Okay. All right, let's take a few minutes and talk about two more formula auditing tools, like what is evaluate formula and error checking. So we discussed of three different types of auditing tools in this slide. Now we'll check the two other types also, that is a evaluate formula and the error check. So starting with the evaluate formula, this is one of my all-time favorite, incredibly useful. It allows you to cycle through each individual calculation step within a formula and see how each component piece, each argument actually evaluates. And by doing this, by tracing the calculation path, in this way you can really pinpoint the source of any errors. So it's kind of a similar end result as tracing a dependent or precedent path, but this allows us to pull back the certain a bit more and really see the inner working of our formulas. So in the example shown here, if you were to press evaluate, Excel would work from the inside out and cycle through each individual calculation step of the formula until it gets to the end result displayed in cell. And as you can see here, it's pretty clear something is gone wrong between steps 4 and 5. So you can see this is a step 1, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You can see all the 4 steps have been evaluated right, but in the step 4, in the step 5, you are getting some error. And what is that error? It is the value error, means some mistake with the arguments. You are trying to multiply the text with the numerical value, so this is why it is giving the error. So with the help of this tool, you will be able to see at which step the Excel has gone wrong.
Okay, but can we just have an example in the Excel?
Sure, 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 sure. And it doesn't take long to okay. So the problem is that we are trying to multiply a number by a text field. We are trying to multiply 499. I will show you the example. So here itself you can see the 499, it is trying to multiply with the spoon, which is a string value, so which is just obviously total nonsense, doesn't make any uh, rational result, and that is the root cause or the source of our error. Now pro tip here, evaluate formula is my go-to tool, not just for error checking but also for just simply breaking down complex or unfamiliar formulas. In fact, this is often one of the first things we do when we are faced with a really nasty nested function like that's really complex, because this allows you to understand what component pieces are being used, like how they are evaluating and how they fit into the larger formula. So next up we have got the error checking also. We have got error checking, and what the error checking tool does is it scans your worksheet for any errors and then provides a summary with options to either trace the source, like it will scan your worksheet, and then what it does is it will scan your worksheet for any errors and then provides a summary with options to either trace the source using the trace precedents, or a trace precedence option, or you can ignore the value. So it will give you the option. It will first check what is the error, and it will give you the option how you can come out of that error, or it will give,
Okay,
if you're not fine with the solution which it gives, you can ignore the error also. You can modify your Excel options, and you can even link out to Microsoft support. So here you have the Microsoft support also. You can go. So here is that some of those options. You know that options button in the lower left really just opens up your Excel options dialog box. So here you can change your error handling. So in this you can change your error handling or error checking rules. The trace error button here, if you click on that, I will show you in depth with an example. The trace error button will show the full precedent path and where the path breaks down, like we talked about in the last section. And then the help on this error button, that's going to link right out to the Microsoft support website, which is a great resource. It's going to talk about what that error means and some options for fixing it. And other buttons are kind of speak for themselves. You can simply ignore the error, or you can trace the error, and you can edit the formula. If you feel that there is a mistake in the formula, you can edit in the formula bar, or you can proceed to the previous or next error. in the sheet. So with that, let's jump into Excel and practice using these tools. So we'll see the examples for each and every tool. So we are going to continue with the property calculator example for this tool also. And in this case, I want to focus on the tax rate value. I want to focus on the tax rate value, this hard coded value right here in cell H4. This is cell H4, yes. And specifically I want to understand which other cells might be impacted if I were to change my tax rate value. Okay, in other words, I want to know which cells are dependent upon H4. So like I showed you in the past lecture, trace dependence is a great way to do that. So if you want to check which are the other sheet value or dependent on this particular cell, you can just click on that cell, and if you click on trace dependence, you can see it is it affects property tax. And then if you want to see more, if you just click on other time, it will give you the other arrow also. So tax rate changes the property tax. In turn, this property tax will change the monthly expenses. So indirectly, even the tax rate will affect the monthly expenses. And this tells me that there are indeed two cells in this calculator that are dependent upon tax rate. No, those are the property tax and the monthly expenses. So with that said, let's say I hand this calculator off to a colleague who may not be quite as Excel savvy. Like, and he says, you know what, I'm trying to do this estimation, but I have no idea what my tax rate should be. So I will just put a placeholder and type a dash in here. So let me place a placeholder and type a dash in there and press enter. So I will just so knowing that there are two dependent cells here, it's no surprise that the property tax and the monthly will expenses values both yield errors, because it will expect some numerical value, but we have given only dash, so it will give us the
That is why
value
it
error.
is showing that.
Yes, but what if we want to pull the cover back a little bit more and understand exactly where the error is first originating? That would be a great use case for the evaluating formula tool. So let's go ahead and select the property tax formula, which is the first place in the path where we, so let me select this, where we see an error and launch the evaluate formula option. So here you should be having yeah, here we have the evaluate formula option. If you click on this, this is one of the auditing tool. So if you click on this evaluate formula, you will get one box here. Now this is where Excel is going to start from the inside out and allow us to click through and evaluate. If you click on evaluate, so
Okay.
each component piece of our function to be exactly how it's working, it will show us. Okay, if you go on clicking this is one, you can see the second step is it is trying to multiply these values. If you click on other, it is not showing. See here, it has the error. It is trying to multiply 499 with the dash. So if you again give evaluate, here you can see the
That.
yes, value error. So if you keep on clicking this button, it will show you the error. Okay. So
Okay.
that at that time you will get to know where the exact mistake has gone. So see, until this, it is not showing any value error. If you just press a next evaluate, you can see you're getting one error. So you have to understand the step before this has some error in it. Okay, and you can change that value. And obviously, an error divided by 12 yields another error. And that's what populating here in our property tax cell. So if you just give, so so you can see the value error we have got, and we are getting same value here also. So see, if I put here the placeholder here, and if I give this evaluate formula, and if I just keep on press this will show me the first step. In the first step, it is taking the value of that cell, that is 0.045, and it is dividing by 12. So next evaluate, it will show the value. So it will trace the step by step function done by the excel sheet. If you press again evaluate, you can see the next solution of the step. So you can see that operation has yielded us this value 2023, and you can see the same value is populated in this cell. So this is how
Okay.
you can see step by step,
Evaluate.
yes, step by step operation of this Excel sheet. And you can restart your cycle also. Like if in one go, if you're not able to see what has happened, you can once it give the value, and you can restart also to check again. When you see cell references here, you do have the option to step in, which will select the referenced. So see, I'll check on the, and then I will click on this, and I will say evaluate formula, and you have the option to like let's see, this step out is not enabled still. When it encounters, so you can see, one second. So you have the step in here, step out. So see, I'll show you. So if you step in here, you can see the 499, it is showing step out. Yeah, you can see the which value you have that is causing the error. In the H4 value, you have this dash symbol, so you can see the dash here. So yeah, you can find out which value is causing problem here, and you can change it accordingly. So this is how the this tab helps you.
Evaluation works. Okay.
Yes. So let me remove the arrows. So let's discuss the next, and I want to show you the error checking option also. Now,
Okay.
before we fix this error, let's go ahead and choose error checking. So I have I have kept my uh, placeholder in the error region, and then if I click on error checking here, one dialog box opens, and what this says is we have got an error, and so it is telling error in cell H15. So this is the error, this is the H15, so that it is saying.
Okay.
And then this is no surprise, this is a property tax, and it's going to show us our formula right here. uh,
Okay.
so it will show the formula also. What is the formula you are using to calculate that property tax. It's
Okay.
going to give a little description of the error. Value used in the formula is of the wrong data type. So here you can see that the description here, what it says. It says a value used in the formula is of the wrong data type. It
Wrong
is
data.
saying, yeah, a numerical value cannot multiply with the dash symbol, which makes sense. And check it out, we can change our options right here if you want to adjust how we are going to handle our errors. So in the option, we'll go to option. So here you can change the error checking rules. So this is, you can see, these are the error checking rules. Like if you uncheck this or check this, it will act accordingly. So if you want, here we have automatic error indicate color. It is automatic. If you want, you can select your own error flagging color. Okay, and then if you uncheck all these tabs, if I uncheck all these tabs, then it will not tell me where the error is. Okay, I will uncheck all this. Check is complete for the. So if I give on error checking, so it will not show me the error, where is the error, because I have unchecked all the rules. It will not tell me where the error is, why the error is. Okay.
Okay.
So if I click on this and press on evaluate formula, so if I evaluate, so this is what error checking and the evaluate formula, trace dependence, trace precedence will work. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me for this.
No, as of now, no doubt.
Okay. I will do that.
But
So,
this evaluate formula and error checking is it it is a bit similar to each other, right? We are
yes, yes.
actually getting the same thing
Mm.
out of
But
it.
a evaluate formula, it will what it will do is it will give us step by step. It will display step by step operation. Or what will happen in the first step, what will happen in the second step. But in the error checking, it will directly tell what is the error. It will tell that there is
Okay.
a wrong data type, or there is a wrong value, or the function name is wrong. That error
Okay.
it will give. Okay. Oh, okay, Yogita. Shall we stop here?
Yeah.